If we want to thrive, we want to be happy. Feeling happy, being happy is one of the elements of thriving. Who's responsible for your happiness?
You are.
Yeah.
You are, yes. But how often do we blame other people for our unhappiness? So you know in your head you are responsible for your own happiness, but many of us, and I have times as well, that I don't apply that rule. The question is though, why is it that only we can be responsible for our own happiness? Why is it actually impossible for other people to be in charge of our happiness? Have you got any idea why that is? Well, what creates our happiness is not what happens. It's not the events that create our happiness. It is our emotional interpretation of the events that will create our happiness. So what happens is that, say now this is this lady, and she's just doing her thing, and then all of a sudden she sees this gorgeous guy. And depending on her background, her previous experiences, she either will think this is the man of my life, or she'll think Heartbreak Hotel, run baby run. It's because she linked that experience back to her past. That's what we do. That's how our brain is wired. We link everything back to our past. And so if you have unresolved traumas in your life, then the chances are that you will link them, your today's experiences, back to those traumas. Because let's look how your memory works. If you think of something that happened to you in the last month or so, is there something that stands out? Well, otherwise, if you think back in your past, what's the first memory that comes to mind?
Maybe, for me, something that I find so emotional is about relationship, like a spouse, girlfriend.
To come back to my other question is, what stands out in your memory is one of the things is that when you have an emotional issue. And when you have problems with girlfriends, then that is something that easily comes back in your memory if I asked you to think of something. Is that what you said or not really?
Yeah, no, I think that's the most emotional thing that you'd ever...
Is that what happens is when we have an event, an experience, the stronger the emotion you have attached to that experience, the easier you can recall it. Because our memories are built from the combination of an event and our emotional experience of that event. Those two together make up memories. And so if you have some very traumatic events happen in your past, and often they have happened when you were really young, and this process of linking back to your past is not something you do consciously, like, what does this remind me of? No, it's instant. So the fact that you have this experience with the ladies, that you seem to attract ones that are unavailable for some reason, or they don't trust you, there's something in your past. So the whole thing is that the stronger the emotion during the previous event, the more likely you're going to link back to it. And a lot of trauma has very strong emotional link to it. And that's why it's good to identify some of the trauma. We don't have to dig endlessly in your past. We're just going to look for the obvious ones and then see if we can release that trauma. So the more stressed we are, the more likely we are to link back to negative experiences. Because we're now in survival mode, so now we're constantly thinking of anything that can be of a threat, and we will start seeing things as a threat. And when you do your brain gym, at least, you can pull yourself out of that survival mode and associate your today with more pleasant experiences. So by doing our brain gym, we are more relaxed, we can now override our fears easier, and it becomes easier to link to the positive experiences. Okay. So love is a survival need just like food. Now if you have a vegetable garden in your garden, how worried are you going to be about food if you can't find it out there? Not so much. Like I know in my garden I have eggs, I have vegetables, I have nuts. And if really push comes to shove, I know at least I'll have something to eat every night. I can find something. So then I don't have to beg and steal for food because I have it. The same is with love. If you can create an unlimited source or tap into an unlimited source of love within you, then you can create inner happiness. Then you're not dependent on other people to give you that love, and then it becomes much easier to thrive and to be the master of your own life. The internal love, there are two legs that it's built on. One is the self-love and divine love. Now, divine love is not necessarily religious. It can be religious for you if you want to, but it is being connected with that higher consciousness within yourself, within the universe, and you can call it what you want to call it. But when we connect with these two, we have an unlimited supply of love within ourselves. Now, some people are maybe worried that self-love leads to selfishness. Are you worried about that? You? Sometimes.
No, I need to get to self-love.
You need to get to self-love, that's why you're here. But sometimes people think that self-love equals selfishness, but that's not true. You have people that are self-centered. They are selfish, and actually what happens is that those people, they don't like themselves, and they're now trying to convince themselves and others that they're lovable. And then they become self-centered. And then there are other people that say, yeah, but if I love myself, then I'm going to keep all my bad habits. Do you ever think of that? Because what if I would just accept the fact that, you know, this is just who I am, I'm always going to be late. And now, does that mean you're going to stop doing your best to be on time? It doesn't have to be. It means that you can now, because you can accept yourself, it is easier then to acknowledge that you have a problem and deal with it. It's like a parent loves their child, but that doesn't mean to say that the parent is going to accept all bad behavior. It's the same with yourself. If you can accept yourself as a being, as who you are, that doesn't mean to say that you're not also going to accept all your behavior. But when you are kind and supportive to yourself, it's easier to change your behavior because you can now have an honest look at it without feeling bad. Our foundation in life, the foundation we build our life and our happiness on, comes from self-esteem, that self-love, and that divine love. And with that in place, we can handle anything and anybody. Being it the girls that don't like you, being it that you have people in your life that abandon you. When you have those two legs to stand on, you can handle anything. And so we are now going to work on building those two legs up, that they're nice and firm and planted on the ground. And we're going to do a visualization. And with these visualizations that we're going to do, there's a few things I want to say. One is, whenever you do a visualization and you're uncomfortable, you can stop it at any time. The other thing, which is just as important, is that you do not have to tell your partner anything. In the visualization, in the text, there will be squiggles and dots between brackets. The dots, when there's dot, dot, dot between brackets, all we expect from you is a yes, no answer. And with the squiggles means you indicate to the person you're ready to go to the next phase. So it's a very private visualization, which then allows you to address any of your issues. You know, if you have things in your history that you don't want to share with people, you do not have to share. Okay, it's private. So let's look at the pre-activity questions. How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? Do you like yourself?
I like myself.
All the time?
Yes, all the time.
Are there maybe certain reasons why you don't like yourself at certain times? Okay, so even though you like yourself most of the time,
Yes.
when you do this one thing, in this case drinking, you don't like yourself.
I feel disappointed.
You disappoint yourself. Well, let's look here. How do you feel about you, and how do you feel when you make a mistake? Think of a time when you made a mistake. How do you feel about yourself?
I'm cross.
You get cross with yourself when you made a mistake.
Yes.
And how does your body feel in that situation? What happens to your posture in that situation?
Probably flops a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have certain areas of your body tense up that you're aware of?
I'm not really aware of it, just my brain seems to scrunch up as a stupid woman or something.
Right. And how do you feel about yourself when others are prettier, smarter, or more successful than you? Does that affect you? Do you mind?
It makes me feel bad about myself. It makes me feel less than.
Yeah. A lot of us have that.
Yeah.
It's very normal. A lot of us are intimidated when other people are better or prettier. Instead of that we can celebrate their successes, we feel intimidated by it. So when do you like yourself? You have times you like yourself? So
Yes, I do.
what is it? When do you like yourself? Yeah, when you do things well.
I'm kind to my family or loving.
Right.
Instead of just
When you're on your best behavior.
screaming,
Huh? Then
screaming at everyone.
not screaming at everybody, yeah. Do you feel in general that you're of value to others?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I want to do is, I know for those of you that done the wealth mindset, this is a visualization we've done before, but now you're going to learn how to do it on somebody. Okay? So I would like to demonstrate how you do it on somebody. If I can have somebody in the front. Okay. When we do a visualization, we can choose. And I want you to let me know, do you prefer me to hold your head like this, or rather not?
You can hold my hand.
And when I hold the front and the back of the head, I'm actually linking the whole brain, the survival brain and the wisdom brain through touch. So it can help. And you can sit in hookups as well. I'll take your pen for now. So you can sit in hookups. And if your fingers get sore, you can just put your fingers like that. Okay. Oh, actually, when we start, we should do pace first. So let's do pace quickly, because we now also had a break. So I'm going to grab your water. And when you work with somebody, and you also pace yourself.